Hey, this is Mr. Spencer. We're talking about Chapter 3 of The Great Gatsby. Are we finally going to meet this Mr. Gatsby fellow? Where is he? I've met Daisy, her husband Tom, his mistress Myrtle. I met Nick, the guy. He's kind of boring me. Where's this fancy Gatsby guy everybody's been talking about? All right, he seems like some sort of shadow. Is he somewhere? I've read 40 pages of the book. I'm looking for him. I want to see him. All right. Now, in Chapter 3, we finally get to see one of Gatsby's totally off the hook parties. And it more than lives up to the hype as far as Nick is concerned. Even more excitingly, will we finally get to meet the man, the myth, the legend himself, Gatsby in the flesh? We're going to his house. We're going to see one of his parties. Why does this seem so anticlimactic after so many pages? Why would Fitzgerald write it like this? All right, Chapter 3, in detail. Nick describes the endless parties going on at Gatsby's house every weekend. The guests party day and night, and then on Mondays, the servants clean up the mess. In the book, you get a beautiful description of this. It's very colorful, too. Notice all the different colors. Certainly, the book cover makes me think the color blue is important. But there's also variations of red, orange, and yellow all through the book that seem important, too. Pay attention to those. Gardens are green, and the color green plays an important part of the book. But at one point, beginning of Chapter 3, the gardens are described as blue. In his blue gardens, Gatsby's gardens are blue? What could these colors possibly symbolize? It's up to interpretation. So everything is about excess and a sense of overkill at these parties. Each weekend, the guests are ferried back and forth to Manhattan by Rolls Royce. There's crates of oranges and lemons juiced up in some fancy machinery that automatically juices them, and an army of caterers sets up tents and lighting. The food is piled high, the bar is overwhelmingly stocked, and there's a huge band playing. It's an even bigger deal than it sounds because all this is happening during the Prohibition. Alcohol was supposedly unavailable, right? Well, Gatsby's got the hookup. The first night, Nick goes to Gatsby's for a party. He's actually one of the few invited guests. Everyone else just crashes there, all right? As Nick goes on at the beginning of Chapter 3, he says, the lights grow brighter as the earth lurches away from the sun. People were not invited. They went there, but Nick said, I'd actually been invited. A chauffeur, what color? A blue uniform? No. Robin's egg blue crossed his lawn early that Saturday morning with a surprisingly formal note that said the honor would be entirely Gatsby's if I would attend his little party that night. Is Gatsby's party little? Does this seem like a little party? Was Gatsby being ironic? Is Fitzgerald being ironic? And why was his chauffeur's outfit described as Robin's egg blue? What color is Robin's egg blue? Eggshell blue, lost egg blue. Interesting. Very specific, Fitzgerald is. Now, if you want to see the film clip there, you can check out, we've got on our film clips folder on It's Learning under the Great Gatsby folder, and you can check out if you want the film clip there. I put all these, they're on YouTube for free, and you can check them out if you want and see how Tobey Maguire enters the party from that 2013 movie. If you want to watch the whole movie, it's $3.99 on YouTube. Okay, you can stream it, view it there. Back to the summary. Okay, big band playing. It's an even bigger deal than it sounds because all this is happening during Prohibition. Okay, he goes, he's one of the few guests invited. Everyone else just crashes there. At the party, Nick is ill at ease. He's kind of awkward and uncomfortable. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't even know Gatsby. There's a surprising number of English and British people at the party who seem to get desperate and get their hands on American money. No one knows where Gatsby himself is, and Nick just hangs out near the bar until he sees Jordan Baker. This is very unfocused. Jordan brings it into focus. Nick and Jordan chat with other party people. Okay, a young woman tells them at another one of these parties, when she ripped her dress by accident, Gatsby sent her a very expensive replacement. They gossip about what this odd behavior means. One rumor has it that Gatsby killed someone. Another, that he was a German spy. Didn't we have that other detail from Chapter 2 that he was related to a German chancellor? I don't know. These are just rumors. Now, food is served with Nick and Jordan. They eat at a table full of people from East Egg who look at this insane party with condescension. Nose up in the air, chin up, looking down on it. They decide to find Gatsby since Nick has never actually met him. In his mansion, Jordan and Nick end up in the library, which has ornately carved bookshelves and reams of books. A man with owl-eyed spectacles enthuses about the fact that all the books are actually real and about the fact that Gatsby hasn't cut their pages. meaning he's never read any of the books. Back out in the garden, guests are now dancing, and several famous opera singers perform. Some partygoers also perform relatively risque acts, and Nick's a bit shocked. Nick and Jordan sort of randomly sit down at a table with a man who recognizes Nick from the army around World War I. Weren't you in the 3rd Division during the war? After talking about the places in France where they were stationed during the war, the man reveals that he is Gatsby. Gatsby flashes the world's greatest and most seductive smile, one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance at Nick. And he leaves to take a phone call from Chicago. What's taken so long? You can see this described on page 48. It's taken us 48 pages just to see the guy the book's named after. This book's not very long. Why did it take so long? Sort of anticlimactic. Nick demands more information about Gatsby from Jordan, who said that Gatsby calls himself an Oxford man, meaning he went to the fancy University of Oxford in England. Jordan says that she doesn't believe this, and Nick lumps the info in with all the other rumors he's heard, that Gatsby had killed a man, that he was Kaiser Wilhelm's nephew, that he was a German spy, etc. The orchestra strikes up the latest #1 hit, and Nick notices Gatsby looking over his guests with approval. Gatsby neither drinks, nor dances, nor flirts with anyone at the party. When Jordan is suddenly and mysteriously asked to speak to Gatsby alone, Nick watches a drunk guest weep and then pass out. He notices fights breaking out between the other couples. Even the group of people from East Egg are no longer on their best behavior. Despite the fact that the party is clearly over, no one wants to leave. As Nick is getting his hat to leave, Gatsby and Jordan come out of the library. Whoa, what were they doing in there? Gatsby and Jordan? Jordan tells Nick that Gatsby has just told her something amazing, but she can't reveal what. She gives Nick her number and leaves. Nick finds Gatsby, apologizes for not seeking him out earlier. Gatsby invites Nick to go out on his hydroplane the next day. Remember, they're neighbors, right next to the beach. And Nick leaves as Gatsby is summoned to a phone call from not Chicago this time, Philadelphia. He waves goodbye from the steps of his mansion, looking lonely. Outside, the man with owl-eyed spectacles from the library has crashed his car. Why, was this guy been drunk for about a week? He crashed his car. There might be some symbolism in this car crash. The Roaring Twenties crashed 1929. Stock market crash. I don't know. An even drunker man emerges from the driver's seat of the wreck. And he is comically but also horrifyingly confused about what has happened. Suddenly, the narrative is interrupted by present-day Nick. He thinks that what he's been writing is probably giving us the wrong idea about this story. He wasn't fixated on Gatsby during that summer. The fixation has only happened since then. That summer, he says, he spent most of his time working at his 2nd or 3rd tier bond trading company, not very successful, Probity Trust. And he had a relationship with a coworker. Who was that? He started to really like the crowded and anonymous feel of Manhattan, but he also felt lonely. In the middle of the summer, Nick reconnects with Jordan Baker, and they start dating. He almost falls in love with her and discovers that under her veneer of boredom, Jordan is an incorrigible liar. She gets away with it because in the rigid upper-class code of behavior, calling a woman out as a liar would be improper. Okay. Well, Nick suddenly remembers the story he had read about her golfing career, that Jordan was accused of cheating by moving her ball to a better hole, but the witnesses later recanted and nothing was proven. So what was the spot? What was the lie? What is this Jordan character all about? She seems to be interesting and attractive and magnetizing for Nick. Is Nick going to have a relationship with her? Daisy wanted them to get together. Not sure what's going to happen. At the very end of chapter 3, Nick complains that Jordan's a terrible driver, and she answers that she relies on the other people on the road to be careful instead of her. Nick wants to take their relationship further, but he reins himself in because he hasn't fully broken off the non-engagement back home. What was this relationship he had? He's very vague about it. I don't know why Nick is even bringing it up if he's not going to tell us the deets. But Tom and Daisy had asked him about it earlier. He was non-committal. and he claims that he himself is one of the few honest people he's ever met. What a weird thing to say, especially considering that Nick said on the first page of the book that he was going to try to not judge people so much. Yet, that's kind of been the only thing he's done so far is judge people. With the first 50 pages, chapters 1, 2, and 3, I've seen Nick make quite a few judgments of people. So why did he say this at the beginning if he's actually going to just spend his whole time drinking and judging, drinking and judging? We've met Gatsby by the end of chapter 3. What's going to happen next? Keep reading to find out, and we'll see if we go for a little car ride with Gatsby and Nick. Chapter 4? This is Mr. Spencer signing off.